Hello and welcome to Health Hope. My name is Joan Warner and I will be your stand-in host. Today we have with us Jean Boros from the Faith Unity Street Paper. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you so much.
Could you tell us a little bit about your newspaper, how it got started, and what your goals are with this paper?
Right. How it got started actually is kind of a tough situation, I guess. I was actually in another business in a different town prior, and I just felt like the Lord calling me to step out into ministry. At the time, I didn't really know what that ministry was going to be. As a matter of fact, I just kept waiting for the Lord to reveal it to me, and a year passes by, and I'm thinking, you know, I just don't know where to go, what to do, and I just keep, you know, waiting for the Lord to speak to me. And when He finally did and laid it on my heart to start a street paper, I actually ran from it. Then I was like, oh, no, you know, God, you don't want me to do that. I don't know anything about print. I don't know anything about writing. I mean, I'm not the one. But in that process, though, after finally just kept weighing it harder and harder on me until finally I was like, oh, all right, Lord, I'm gonna step up and do this. But you're gonna have to provide me the resources and the funding and everything to even get this kicked off. And that's when I learned that the Lord don't necessarily look for people with certain or special skills. He just wants us to be available for Him to use, to be the tool on the shelf, and so that was life-changing for me.
So how does this paper affect the homeless?
This is absolutely by far, hands down, the most powerful tool I've ever seen used in ministry. Basically, it cost us about $5,000 a month to print the publication, but God takes that $5,000 and turns it into about $90,000 a month into the streets for the homeless or low-income individuals. We sell them the publication for $0.25. Many of them come to us just broken. They don't have any money, they're crying, they're living out on the streets. I mean, these are people with legit difficulties. I mean, they've just hit rock bottom, and some of the things that come their way are just, I mean, some of us can't even imagine.
Are they mostly, what percentage of these homeless people are addicts?
I would say less than 10%.
So it's really, so our economy is pretty rough then.
Absolutely. Yeah, when the Lord called me to do this and step off and working with the homeless, I didn't know anything about homelessness at all. And in fact, just being in Nashville and seeing them, automatically you just think they're all drunks or, you know, drug addicts. And after I got into this and started meeting the people and hearing their stories, and it's like, wow, I mean, I could be where you are right now.
Right.
I mean, my mom, anybody could be in your shoes. So that's when I really started learning, hey, these are real people, you know, and I think I've went out personally sold papers.
Have you?
Yeah, it's hard to ask. I mean, even the Lord, you look at, you know, the stories and, you know, in the Bible, I mean, the Lord really hadn't ever asked anybody to do anything that He wasn't willing to do Himself, even sacrificing His Son. So I stepped out to sell papers. That way I could know the experience and know what they go through and you know, the humility of standing out there to even sell a paper. And some people think, well, that's not a job, you need to get a real job. But that is a real job.
So Jean, could you tell me, do you have any pregnant women who sell these papers?
Oh, absolutely. We have some pregnant women that sell the publication. Many of them find themselves needing extra money to buy little small necessities or even pay for doctor's appointments. But the biggest thing I hear, though, out there is them needing to just prepare for the birth of the child. So it's a great way for the flexibility of hours and things like that. Right. So yeah, it's a blessing.
And it's pretty safe, huh?
Yeah, it is pretty safe. It's pretty safe for both sides, the buyer and the seller. I haven't really heard of any major things that's happened as far as being an issue of.
That's amazing.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
So is that why they stay to a particular corner?
Well, actually, the reason for staying at a particular corner is, in a sense, they build a clientele of people. They start connecting. Because when you, I mean, you can think about, I'm sure you've got a vendor that you maybe remember somewhere, whether for whichever publication that they may be selling, but you just kind of start connecting with them. You see them, And so they build a relationship. That's one of the good things about the publication, is that opportunity they have to build a relationship with people in the community.
The publication, it has several different articles in it, correct?
Yes. Yes.
What kind of topics do they cover?
We really try to cover some deep topics, stuff that people don't normally like to talk about, like for instance, a few issues ago we had gracism, which is what the Bible has to say about grace and race. So really the whole publication was really dedicated to racism.
Oh, wow.
So we wanted to bring out biblically what does the Bible say about racism. And that was one of our finest issues. I mean, it sold like crazy.
Did it really?
So people like that, you know, hitting on the things that we don't like to normally discuss. I mean, you don't go to church and hear the pastor normally stand up there talking about racism,
No.
you know. So we think it's good to tap on those subjects.
Nice.
And, you know, kind of give God's perspective of biblically on that topic.
So the topics, do you have a new topic each week, each month? Or?
Well, right now we are a monthly publication,
Okay.
so the topics are monthly. This past issue was Catching Fire, which is basically just, you know, catching fire to serve the Lord, you know, or how the Lord caught you on fire, you know, you get that burning desire inside. So we do theme them out, and they are a month. We have like our themes planned out for 2 or 3 months in advance. So we just kind of send our topics out to our writers and ask that they get them to us timely.
Wow. That's a good publication. It's very good. The city, do you have any problems with the city and selling these publications at all?
When I very first started, we did. They were arresting vendors and telling them they couldn't be out there selling, and it's actually our constitutional right. I mean, you remember back in the days, the newsboys, you know, standing out on the street, get your paper, get your news today, you know. So, but now you talk about going selling papers out on a sidewalk, and it's almost like, you're going to do what? You know, that kind of thing. So what we're doing now isn't really anything any different that wasn't done years and years ago, except now it's being used to get the homeless off the streets. So why not apply it, you know? And
so how did you keep them from getting arrested?
Just battling with the city and our rights, and as long as they're on that's the thing. Some of the things they're not allowed to do. I mean, they're not supposed to be on on or off ramps.
Okay.
So sometimes you will see them, but they're allowed to be on a public sidewalk.
I see.
So that's why a lot of times you'll see them standing on the side of the road, but technically they're standing on the sidewalk is where they should be, you know, selling the publication. So if somebody comes out and they're standing on the sidewalk, though it appears they're selling it to the traffic, they're really they're sidewalk vendors, basically. So a driver will put $1 out the window, and, you know, they'll grab it and give the publication. But realistically, they average about $3, $1 plus tips, and they buy them from us for $0.25. We give them their first 20 free because they come to us broke, no money. So it kind of, you know, gets them started, and in order for them to stay in business, because they are independent contractors, they have to save the money they make from the first 20 to come back and buy more papers. So $5 is a good number that a lot of people come back and, hey, here's $5, they buy 20 papers.
So if you had 2 or 3 stories that you'd like to tell us that were warm, fuzzy stories that were near and dear to your heart, what would they be?
I'm a guy that likes to see people interacting and actually reaching out to the least of them. So those type of stories really get to me. I'll just run through maybe a variety first. Through this publication, I mean, we've seen nearly 100 and up to date now about 150 people that's been taken off the streets or have gotten themselves off the streets through this publication in the past year and few months that we've been in business.
Right.
And but I've seen alcoholics of 30 years quit drinking.
Wow.
Been sober now for 7 months, and I actually know 3 of those. One's going on 7 months, one's going on 5, and one's going on 4.
Amazing.
And then, of course, we have some new recent ones that they're still kind of in between their struggle. But I mean, I've seen people quit smoking crack. I've seen heroin addicts get clean. there's something about the gospel and the power of God. I mean, once you have that material in front of you, and that's another good thing about the publication. A lot of them actually read it. The vendors actually know what they're selling, and so I mean, from people not knowing God to getting saved and baptized and fired up and going to church, but seeing that just working the gospel work in their lives. Other than that, the other people, like for instance, someone had bought a publication and came back and brought the vendors a $10,000 cashier's check.
Oh, did he
just
really?
saying, hey, I took this home, I read it, I felt compelled to come back and bless you. I mean, only God could put that kind of thing on someone's heart to give someone $10,000.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people moan and groan because they give them a buck. This guy gave him 10 grand.
$10,000.
Not only that, but a pastor went up in a lift for 3 days straight to raise 100 new sleeping bags, 100 new bicycles, 100 tents to give to the vendors of Faith Unity. So he met the goals, and I mean, it just really blessed them guys. Not only that, but he took a week out of his life and walked 240 miles, 40 miles a day, to raise money for the Faith Unity street paper. The Lord tells us to go out in the highways and byways and compel them to come inside. And that's basically what these vendors, I mean, the Lord's really using them to do. I mean, get the gospel into the streets. So they're not just doing it for themselves, they're also doing it, they're actually serving the Lord and serving the community at the same time. So it's a powerful blessing.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about Christianity, is that, we do tend to band together to make mankind a better place, have a better lifestyle, to have pride in the way that they live,
Sure.
And so it's a good thing that you're doing, and people need help.
Oh, absolutely.
And when they get down and out, and you're not eating, you're not effective, your brain isn't working appropriately, you don't think well, so you can't even make good enough decisions to make the next right decision. So, this puts some money in their pocket to get a good meal so they can think again. You have to eat in order to function effectively.
Right. And not only that, but then people get called some horrible names. I mean, bums and no goods and addicts when many of them aren't. And I mean, even when I was out selling the paper myself, I mean, I've had people yell at me, "Get a job, you bum. I ain't giving you away my hard-earned money," and just all kinds of crazy things that.
But you said a lot of people were professional people that you've seen on the streets, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a vendor out in Rivergate. Him and they don't drink, they don't do any drugs. The sum of the story is he was taking care of his parents, and they had both died, and when they did, I guess there were some medical bills, and they ended up taking the house, so it put him on the streets.
Wow.
And so they've been living on the streets for the past year. So there's just people, I mean, really just hurting, really needs to be just lifted up and loved on, and be told, hey, everything's going to be all right.
Have
God's
hope.
got you back. Yeah.
Have hope.
Have hope. That's right.
Have hope. I understand you have a tour coming up.
Oh, yes, we do. We have the Faith Unity Set Afire tour that we're putting together for 2014. And that's another thing. I mean, the publication has just opened up some major doors, not only to launch the publication in other cities like we're planning to do, but we want to use this as an example to set a fire in someone else's heart to do the same thing in their community. And not necessarily just with homelessness. I mean, there's a lot of issues. There's battered women. There's, like Tennessee, there's the End Slavery Tennessee. I mean, I don't know if y'all really studied up on how big of a deal that is right now, but sex trade and slavery as far as is real. I mean, it's as real, and probably more real now today than 30 years ago of what we think slavery is, but
absolutely unbelievable.
Being sold in the sex trade is a big deal.
Isn't there like about 4,000 cases?
I'm not for sure what it is in Tennessee,
right now?
But I think overall nationally it's a lot.
Yeah, I think in Tennessee there's about 4,000 cases.
Right.
I'm thinking. Well, thank you, Gene. I so appreciate you coming out and giving us your testimony on what you're doing. to benefit Nashville and to benefit the homeless. I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you're doing, and we hope you come back.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you inviting me, and I've definitely enjoyed the time here.
Do you happen to have a website or contact information you'd like to leave?
We actually have really just our Facebook presence, which is Facebook/Faith Unity.
And could you say it one more time?
Facebook/Faith Unity.
So that's Facebook/Faith
Unity.
Faith Unity.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you for tuning into Health Hope, and stay with us. We'll be right back with our next segment. Thank you. Our free offer for today is After the Storm, a look at where do we turn for help and hope, who is to blame, where do we go from here, and how can we be ready. Log in to our website at www.health-hope.org to request your free copy today.
Today we have with us a very special guest, Carol Batey. We're glad you're here. Why don't you start by telling our viewers, what is it that you do? What's your specialty?
I have many jobs, but currently I am a licensed massage therapist, I am a licensed esthetician, and also I write books. And I manufacture food and skincare products out of my home.
Okay, that's a very interesting job, I'd say. You do a lot then, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, but there is a reason that you got involved in doing a lot of these things, and that's because you encountered very early on in life some extreme health issues. Isn't that right? Can you share with our viewers what those health issues were?
When I was 26, I was diagnosed with premenstrual syndrome. 80% of my life was affected by that. And I went to doctor after doctor after doctor, and I could not get any help. Every other month I was on the couch, and I stayed there for 2 weeks and would not get up. And so finally I ran into someone who tested my urine and saliva and told me that my body was acid, not alkaline. I didn't understand what she was saying to me, but I believed on her words.
Okay.
And I believed what she told me, that I was not digesting my food properly, and so that my body was full of toxins. That frightened me because my family has a high risk of cancer. Ever since I was 5 years old, people have died in my family with cancer, and I didn't want to be one of those stats.
Okay.
So I changed my diet.
Okay.
Okay.
And now, just for our viewers' sake, you couldn't find any help, right, where you were going. You were not getting any, nothing was changing for you, right?
No.
So that's why you decided you were going to make some life changes with your diet.
I
Is that
had
right?
to become
Okay.
proactive, or I
Okay.
would not be sitting here today.
All right.
When she told me that my body was full of toxins, it took me a minute to comprehend what she was saying, and she told me what I needed to be eating, and she also introduced me to herbal remedies. And then she also introduced me to fresh juicing. I was 27 years old, living in the South in Nashville, Tennessee, and African American.
And you were juicing, okay.
Not frying food anymore. I was baking.
Okay, all right. You were, and this was what year now? Would this have been?
This was in 1986.
Okay. All right. This was kind of, it wasn't into the whole health era yet, right? In the juicing.
There's only 2 health food stores in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay. And you were there a lot, I bet. Frequently.
Yes.
You were there a lot. So what were some of the things that you were juicing at that time? Just anything, right? Or a lot of fruits and vegetables? All?
Actually, I used my blender for pineapple and spinach, and did that. And then I started doing carrots and celery and spinach and garlic and ginger.
Ginger. That sounds good. So you were juicing.
Yes.
And by doing that, what happened to your, how did your health change then? What
Not only
did that
did
do
I
for you?
started juicing, I stopped eating starches,
Okay.
carbohydrates, breads,
Okay.
and I was baking my lean meats and salads,
Okay.
and this was in 1986.
Okay. So you were on the cutting edge, weren't you, of a health movement, I believe, yes.
And then I was making a tea out of herbs
Okay.
for my
Oh.
healing.
All right. And when you did that, how did your health change? What did that do for you? I
I lost 10 pounds. I
Okay.
felt
Weight
worse
loss?
before I felt better.
Okay.
And
Warning number one then,
yes,
maybe?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
And then it was amazing. My thoughts were clear. The PMS went away, and I lost. I mean, it was just amazing to me because I detoxed. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time, was detoxing, and my body. I had much energy. I have much energy.
Okay, all right. So you could get a lot done, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, something else happened when you got your health back, but you kind of had a setback. And can you tell our viewers what happened then?
Well, I had a wreck about 15 years later. I had a wreck, and I had a bulge disc in my L5, and I had soft tissue damage in my neck.
Okay.
I sought alternative healing right then and there instead of going to the neurologist and things like that.
Right.
And it took 2 years for me to heal, but I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
Oh, okay, that word, fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to kind of explain that to our viewers. What is that diagnosis? What does that mean, and how do you feel?
Fibromyalgia is an autoimmune deficiency that you have muscle pain,
Okay.
and there is no blood tests
Okay.
for it.
Okay.
So you go by how you feel, and it's got a whole bunch of different symptoms.
Okay. So it's kind of hard to diagnose then, is
it's
that
hard
right?
to diagnose.
Okay. Now, you'd had an accident, so you were dealing with multiple health issues there. What helped you then?
Soon as I had the wreck, I went for reflexology treatments. After that, I started taking particular herbs for joint and stress.
Okay.
And then I got trigger point therapy from massage therapy.
Okay.
That's how I
Wow.
got into massage therapy. So
all
everything
right.
happens for a reason.
You found that by by using these methods that your symptoms decreased and went away now? Is that right?
It finally went away.
Okay,
it took
finally.
a while.
Okay.
Alternative medicine takes longer than
Right.
medicine, but
Right.
it finally went away.
Right.
Yes.
And so now you have, because you've been helped and you live this lifestyle, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the things that you're doing to help others and let them know about how they can find solutions to some of these health issues that medications may not be able to help?
I've been very blessed to write 7 books.
Wow, okay.
And I'm working on my 9th book now.
Okay.
And so I'm able to write about what I did and how I did it because it's my own personal experience.
Sure, sure. What's the name of one of your books? You have a
One
very
of my books is
very interesting.
What's Cooking in Your Soul.
What's Cooking in Your Soul? I like that. That's very interesting. Well, you know, I'm sure that our viewers are interested in some of the things that you do. How could they contact you if they were interested in talking to you?
They can go to my website,
Okay.
which is www.lifestylecoach.com.
Okay, why don't you repeat that for them? That's a long one.
It is www.lifestylecoach.com.
Oh, I like that, lifestyle coach. Great. Well, Carol, you have had a journey, and
ma'am.
I know that you've talked about juicing. You've talked about getting rid of a lot of the starches in your diet.
Herbal teas.
And herbal teas, yes, and massage, and all of those. So I know that our viewers are going to be interested in that, and maybe take your advice on some of that so they know how to contact you. So we want to thank you for joining us today on Health Hope, and I hope that what you've heard and learned from Carol will be a help to you. And maybe you need to go to a physician, something, if you were diagnosed with fibromyalgia, find out about these things, because there's more and more that's being known, and you know, people are finding out how a lifestyle can change how we feel. So thank you again for being with us on Health Hope. We hope to see you again. And if you want to contact us, you can go to our website, health-hope.org. That's health-hope.org. And remember, health is the goal and hope is the anchor.